we are very thankful for us remembering what we're supposed to do during these times. Very thankful. I am always had, there's like a feeling that comes over you. I know when you're in the churches, Christian churches, they get a feeling when they go into the church, but this feeling is different. This feeling is compliance. It's a feeling of accomplishing compliance with the Most High, doing what He asks us to do, which is keep His feast days, to monitor the days and the new moons and the months and the years, to monitor it, to be in compliance with Him. It's just a great feeling to have this understanding that He's continued to strengthen us by reading His Word, by sending other brothers and sisters to complement His Word, to teach us, because we're all learning from each other in this truth, all of us. And it's a blessing when we have family to talk to and to learn from. All praise to the Most High. We're going to go into the reason why we keep the Feast of Tabernacles and what our forefathers did, and that when we kept the Feast of Tabernacles, that we were in complete order of trying to please Him. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to go straight into Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all by Shem HaMashayach Yahushai, giving thanks to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, by Him. All praises. We're going to go through His Son, Yahushai, and give the Most High praise. And let's jump right into it. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 23. Leviticus 23:1, and it reads, And the Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Most High, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts, holy convocations, when we come together. This is a holy convocation right now, on the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles. Verse 3, and it reads, 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest. And a holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Most High in all your dwellings. Wherever you are, it's the Sabbath. These are the feasts of the Most High. So you got some people say, well, you can't keep certain feast days in other strange lands. You only can do it in Jerusalem. Well, the Most High, it's the reason why Yahushua came on earth. We can't go over to Israel like we once did 3 times in a year. A lot of us can't do it. Some of us may be able to do it, but you go there and you're in the land of the Gentiles. The Gentiles, they have taken over that land. So you have idols in that land. You have Gentiles in that land. You have homosexuals. The same things that you will be dealing with here in the United States or London or wherever you may be, you're going to have to deal with it in Israel too. In other words, you will be unclean just dwelling in that atmosphere. You get a hotel room, that hotel room is unclean. Gentiles have cleaned it. The foods that's prepared for you to eat, if you're there, is unclean. That you're going to pack up to take with you in the tent. Everything's unclean. There ain't nothing holy about it. Even though they say, what do they call something when you buy it clean? Kosher. It's still not really clean because it's not from us. We didn't prepare it. So, you're still defiling yourselves with the dead. Let's read. Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Most High, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season. So we could do this within our dwellings, wherever we are. Don't necessarily have to be in Israel, although it would be a blessing to be in Israel. I would love to be in Israel during the time of these feast days. But a lot of us, like I said, are not going to be able to do it. But we are to keep these feasts of the Most High to the best of our ability, to proclaim each feast in their seasons. Why? Why do we do that? When we go to Judges 5 and 11, let's go to Judges 5 and 11. The scriptures tells us in Judges chapter 5, verse 11, it reads, They that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the place of drawing waters. Okay, what's the noise? The noise is the Gentiles, the things that are going on in this land. Places of drawing waters. Different religions are being drawn out of this place. Idol worship. This is the place of drawing waters. Right? Remember what what the scripture said about Lot, where it said that he was afflicted day to day with the Gentiles, with the heathens, filthy conversation. So that's the noise of the archers, filthy conversation, places of drawing waters, all the idols. There shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Most High. So within this filthy land, we're going to rehearse the righteous acts of the Most High, even the righteous acts towards the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of the Most High go down to the gates. Where are the gates? It's where we are right now, the gates of Israel. Right? Gates symbolize leaders. All of you brothers and sisters are leaders in this truth. All right, so that's why we keep these feast days. We are rehearsing. We're rehearsing. Let's go to Joshua 1 and 8. People say, well, you're not supposed to do that anymore. Christ died for that. Well, that's why we have to rehearse the righteous acts, because Christ told us to keep his Father's will. And what is his Father's will? Let's read Joshua 1 and 8. Joshua chapter 1, verse 8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night. What are you meditating on? He said the book of the law. Right? So the feast days are a part of the law. So we're supposed to meditate on that day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous. This is the only way you can make yourself prosperous, is to learn the law. This people who do not know the law perish. So we have to know the law. And then thou shalt have good success. See that? Our families will have good success. We will have good success. Everything that comes around us will have good success. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Most High thy power is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. So wherever we go, we are to dwell in the Most High's house. All right? It's all about following what he said do, no matter where we are. Today, on this day, we are in the what? The Feast of Tabernacles. So we are supposed to obey and do what he said. Let's go to Leviticus. Go back to Leviticus 23. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 33. Leviticus 23 and 33, and it reads, And the Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Most High. Who is he speaking of? He's speaking to the 12 tribes of Israel. This is the Sabbath day. Leviticus 23, verse 35. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. So today we rested. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you. So we dwell in booths for 7 days. And the 8th day, which is the great day, we have another holy convocation, which will be the next Shabbat. And ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. All right. These are the feasts of the Most High, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offering, everything upon his day. What do you think the priests did? They did the sacrifices. Do you think the Most High can eat that meat? No, we ate the meat that the priest sacrificed. We had a barbecue. That's what that was all about. It was a barbecue. After the priest did his thing, his ordinances and his holy convocations and everything, his prayers, then we ate. We ate good. It was a holy convocation. We ate. 38. Beside the Sabbaths of the Most High, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings, which ye give unto the Most High, also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, Ye shall keep a feast unto the Most High 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. So we're going to keep a convocation, a holy convocation from Sabbath to Sabbath. How do we follow these days? By following the moon cycle, Sabbath to Sabbath. Look at Leviticus 23, verse 40. And ye shall take you on the first day and ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Most High your power 7 days. This is where we truly made our booths. We didn't buy a tent. We made our tent out of real trees and branches from palm trees. Then we had beautiful palm trees in the land that we dwelt in those days. That's why we're so attracted to palm trees. A lot of brothers and sisters love palm trees. And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Most High 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. See that? Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month. Forever we're supposed to keep the statute. Forever. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths, when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the power, your power. And Moses declared unto the children of Israel the feast of the Most High. So this is something we have to do from generation to generation. We are preparing for the Most High while HaMashayach. All right. So this is a form of constructing the third temple, thinking of the prophet, when you look at the prophecy. So when you look over there in Israel, they're on a carnal thought process. They think that the temple has to be made with hands. They think it's a building. Okay. This is what we're getting away from in order to be in line with prophecy. We are the Most High's building. Look at Revelation 21 and 21. Let's look at something that's coming in the future. Revelation 21 and 21. And it reads, And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of 1 pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it was transparent glass. And I saw no temple therein. He saw no temple therein. For the Most High thy power almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. So there's no temple in this great city of Jerusalem in the future. There's no temple. So why are they building a temple? Why are they constructing something out of bricks and carnal stuff?
Retaking this ground was important for a number of reasons. For one, it's where King Solomon built the first Jewish temple. After the Babylonians destroyed it, Zerubbabel laid the foundation stone for a second temple that was later expanded by King Herod. It fell at the hands of the Romans in 70 AD. When Commander Gore declared that the Temple Mount was back in Jewish hands, it rekindled hope for a long-awaited third temple.
The Six-Day War was a miracle of biblical proportions and was a cataclysmic opening of a new era for Israel and for the whole world.
Rabbi Chaim Richman of the Temple Institute is dedicated to rebuilding the Jewish temple. He sees the time since the Six-Day War as a prophetic shift. 50 years later, that's changed, with the Temple Institute preparing blueprints and gathering official temple elements, such as the priestly garments. Richmond is also dispelling myths about the temple on today's digital loudspeaker, YouTube.
Let's start at the beginning. What was the Holy Temple really all about?
All of this means talk of rebuilding the temple is no longer considered a fringe idea.
Today, there is a lobby in the Knesset of how many members of Knesset that are constantly speaking about Jewish rights to pray on the Temple Mount. There are members of Knesset that actually talk about the rebuilding of the Holy Temple. Do you understand that 20 years ago, these people wouldn't have been given a moment on prime time television in Israel to say these things? They would have been laughed out.
So, a few years ago, this was considered fringe?
Zealots, lunatics, peculiar. Today it's mainstream.
Why are they building this? We are his temple. Go to 1 Corinthians. This is what Ezekiel spoke of too. It's in the book of Ezekiel as well. There is no physical temple anymore. It's done. Every time we built the temple, it got what? It got tore down by the Gentiles. 1 Corinthians 6:19. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, which is in you, which ye have of the Most High, and ye are not your own? See that? So together, we are coming together as a temple of the Most High. Us dwelling in booths is a form of us becoming one temple. We all got the same mind, same spirit, and we're dwelling in tents to please the Most High. We're coming together, just like the children of Israel did in the wilderness. So it's a form of building one temple. And the Most High, when you look at the layout of when the children of Israel were in the wilderness, there was tents for miles and miles, as far as the eye could see. But in the midst of all those tents, you had the tabernacle tent, the main one. And this is where the high priests were, right in the middle. And the Most High would descend on that temple and descend up within the midst of Israel. Okay? But now, this time, he's going to do it without that. The high priest now is HaMashayach. So that mist of the Most High coming down is always going to be amongst us. Go to Joel 2:27. He tells us here that he's always going to be in the midst of us. It says, and ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the power, your Yahweh, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed. So he will always dwell within the midst of us, the children of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire, and pillars of smoke. It seems like it's going on now. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood. The moon's been blood ever since the smoke been in California. We've been seeing the blood moon every night. Before the great and terrible day of the Most High come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Most High Yahweh shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as the Most High have said, and in the remnant whom the Most High shall call. See that? So the ones that he are calling is a remnant that's dwelling in booths. And this is what we're to do until the last days. Keep these feast days to the best of our ability and the ordinances that we can keep. Not the sacrificial ordinances, but the other ordinances of ceremonial laws and so forth. Dietaries, moral. Try our best to do that. Civil. Nehemiah chapter 9. Nehemiah chapter 9, and let's start at verse 2. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 2. And it reads, and the seed of Israel separated themselves from all strangers. That's the remnant. We're going to separate ourselves. Us following the Tabernacles and the Day of Atonement and Passover. We're going to keep these feast days to satisfy this quota that the Most High needs for a remnant. And the seed of Israel separated themselves from all strangers, and stood and confessed their sins and the iniquities of their fathers. And they stood up in their place and read in the book of the law of the Most High thy power, 1/4 part of the day. And another 4th part they confessed and worshiped the Most High their power. This is what we're supposed to be doing. You wake up in the morning, you say a prayer. Evening, say a prayer. At night, you say a prayer. Then stood up upon the stairs of the Levites, Jeshua. We'll stop right there, because we should also always be doing this That the same thing that we're doing as far as praying while we're dwelling in booths, we should be doing that every day, all day long, giving the Most High praise. Let's go to Deuteronomy 16 and 13. It's a trip how the Most High, he just kind of there's a story behind every precept. And it reads, Thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days. After that, thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine. And thou shalt rejoice in thy feasts, thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant and the Levite, because the Levites are the ones who conducted the ordinances, the stranger and the fatherless and the widow that are within thy gates. 7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto the Most High thy power in the place which the Most High shall choose, because the Most High thy power shall bless thee in all thy increase and in all thy works of thine hands. Therefore thou shalt surely rejoice. You see that? It's just like the brother Yahar went over with the Day of Atonement with the fasting. The reason why we fast is for our people, and so they could be blessed in the future. So this is the 7th month. On the 15th day, we start this feast, or tabernacles, Feast of Tabernacles. Look at Deuteronomy 16:16. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Most High thy power, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, that's after Passover, and in the feast of weeks, Pentecost, and in the feast of what? Tabernacles. That's now. And they shall not appear before the Most High empty. So now y'all sisters know why I said last week y'all can stay in a hotel room when we go camping next year. And the men's supposed to sleep in booths. All right. But just so y'all know, women can participate too, and the children. They can still participate, but it's required of the men to do this 3 times a year. It is required. All right. Let's go to Sirach chapter 44, verse 8. Sirach 44, verse 8. And it reads, this is an Apocrypha. There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praises might be reported. This is when we keep the feast days 3 times a year. And some there be which have no memorial, who are perished, as though they had never been, and are become as though they had never been born, and their children after them. But these were merciful men. What men? The men that tried to keep the feast days to the best of their ability, whose righteousness have not been forgotten. With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance, and their children are within the covenant. Their seed standeth fast, and their children for their sakes. Their seed shall remain forever, and their glory shall not be blotted out. See that? If you don't have any seeds, your glory not going to be blotted out with the Most High. Their bodies are buried in peace, but their name liveth forevermore. The people will tell of their wisdom, and the congregation will show forth their praise. See that? This is why we meet 3 times a year. It's why he chose the males to appear before him. But women, don't think that you're left out, because even our queens fasted on these days. Let's go to the book of Judith, who was a queen of Israel. And let's read chapter 10, Judith 10, verse 1. And it reads, Now after that she had ceased to cry unto the Most High of Israel, and had made an end of all these words, she rose where she had fallen down, and called her maid, and went down into the house, in the which she abode in the Sabbath days, and in her feast days. See that? So here's Queen Judah. She kept the Sabbath days and the feast days, and pulled off the sackcloth which she had on. So she was fasting, and put off the garments of her widowhood, and washed her body all over with water, and anointed herself with precious ointment, and braided the hair of her head, and put on attire upon it, and put on her garments of gladness, wherewith she was clad during the life of Manasseh, her husband. And she took sandals upon her feet, and put about her bracelets, and her chains, and her rings, and her earrings, and all her ornaments, and decked herself bravely to allure the eyes of all the men that should see her. Then she gave her maid a bottle of wine and a cruse of oil, and filled the bag with parched corn and lumps of figs, and with fine bread. So she folded all these things together and laid them upon her. And all this is telling you is that she kept these Sabbath days, she kept the feast days, and then she went to war. So even our women got to go to war. Okay, she went out and slew a king that took her beauty for something weak. All right, so our women were tough, man. They were tough, and after the feast days, they were fine. They got dressed up. You was like, wow. They let down their hair, put their earrings on. Very distinguished women when they got dressed up. But during the feast days, what did they do? They covered their heads. They put on sackcloth, and they wept and prayed to the Father. So women can participate, but the men are required. And it's the same thing with Hannah in 1 Samuel. She did the same thing when she offered up her son, Samuel, to the prophet Eli. She wept, right? She fasted. She mourned. She participated. And so, but as we was reading in Deuteronomy 16:16, we are also as brethren not to come empty-handed to a feast. Supposed to bring something. Never go empty-handed. Supposed to always bring something, because it says here, it says, and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before the Most High empty. Got to bring something, some wine or something. Ain't no freeloafers here. Let's go to Deuteronomy 31:9. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 9. And it reads, And Moses wrote this law, and delivered it unto the priests, the sons of Levi, which bear the ark of the covenant of the Most High, and unto all the elders of Israel. And Moses commanded them, saying, At the end of every 7 years, in the solemnity of the year of release, in the feast of tabernacles, when all Israel is come to appear before the Most High thy power, in the place which he shall choose, thou shalt read this law before all Israel in their hearing. Okay, so we're supposed to read this law. That's what we read in Joshua 1:8. Meditate on the law, what? Day and night. So we can have success. Deuteronomy 31:12. Gather the people together, men and women and children. Letting you know you're dealing with all Israel, men, women, and children. And thy stranger that is within thy gates, that they may hear, and that they may learn and fear the Most High your power, and observe to do all the words of this law, and that their children, which have not known anything, may hear and learn to fear the Most High your power, as long as you live in the land, whether you go over Jordan to possess it. So we went into Jordan, and we forgot the law again, got kicked back out. I guess we didn't learn nothing. I guess we didn't hear the words of that law. I went into captivity. So Moses is up here speaking to them, and they didn't hear not a word. Not a word. Our people. Hard-headed people. But you're supposed to bring the children so the children can hear too. Let's see. Let's go over one chapter, Deuteronomy 32, verse 13. And let's see, when we kept the law, how the Most High was going to bless us. Check this out. This is after we heard the words of Moses. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 13. He made them ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields. And he made him to suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flint rock. It's talking about how the Most High took care of us. butter of kine and milk of sheep, with fat of lambs and rams of the breed of Bashan, of goats with the fat of kidneys of wheat. And thou didst drink the pure blood of the grape. We was eating good, living high on a high horse. But Jeshurun is another word for Israel. But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. We had a good time, joyful. Thou art waxen fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook the Most High. Who's the he? Israel. Then he forsook the Most High, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. Who's the rock of his salvation that he esteemed? It's the right arm. It's the right hand of the Most High. We forgot about the Most High and his angel. Remember, the angel was the one that got us out of Egypt. Came in a cloud in the daytime and a fire at night. So we lightly esteem Yahushua. See that? Let's go to a precept on this. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. How do we lightly esteem them? We stop keeping the laws. We stop meditating. It's easy to do. When you get something, you pray for something. Oh, Most High, bless me with this. Bless me with this car. I won't ever do nothing again. Just bless me with this car. You get the car, then you forget about him. You stop praying to him. You don't need him anymore. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1. It reads, Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud. See that? What cloud? That's Yahushua. That's that IFO, what we know as chariots. The cloud. And we say dwelleth in the clouds. And all pass through the sea. Let me show you this cloud thing real quick so y'all can see. Let's go to Revelation 1 and 7. Revelation 1 verse 7. It reads, Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. So he cometh with clouds. Remember, scriptures tell you that he rideth upon a cloud. Yahushua and the Most High. Let's go to Matthew 24 and 25. Matthew 24 and 25. Let's go to 30. Matthew chapter 24, verse 30. Okay. And it reads, And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with the power and great glory. See that? So he's coming on clouds. So if he comes on clouds, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to tear this place up. That's how the Most High get down. Go to Psalms chapter 68. Psalms chapter 68, verse 17. This tells you what those clouds are. And it reads, The chariots of the Most High are 20,000, even thousands of angels. That's the Most High is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place. He's coming with thousands upon thousands upon thousands of his angels. See that? They're coming how? Coming in the clouds. Let's go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 6. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea. See that? And did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. See that? So who was that was followed him? Who was that rock? It was HaMashayach. Let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 32. So they lightly esteemed the rock. Deuteronomy 32 and 15. It says, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. So they forgot about the Most High and his cloud, the rock. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils, deceivers, not to the Most High, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. All these holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Father's Day, Semiramis and Tammuz Day. That's what our people doing today. Lightly esteem the Father. They still believe, but they forgot. Just like our people today, keeping all these holidays, getting ready for Christmas. They already got Christmas trees and stuff inside stores already. They already got Christmas lights up right now. Wicked holidays. Halloween ain't even came yet. Thanksgiving. They already got all these holidays. They pushing Semiramis and Tammuz. All these devils. Getting ready. Pollute the people again and again, even during the pandemic. They can't even do Black Friday anymore. People can't gather no more, so they starting early. Got stuff online, you know. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 15. Deuteronomy 23, verse 15. And it reads, thou shalt not deliver unto his master the servant which is escaped from his master unto thee. He shall dwell with thee, even among you, in the place which he shall choose, in one of thy gates where it liketh him best. Thou shalt not oppress him. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the son of Israel. Thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of the Most High thy power for any vow. These Gentiles, you can't be bringing them around you. Okay? This is how we went off in the first place. But even both these are abominations unto the Most High thy power. Keep these people away from us so we can keep our feast days pure. We should keep the law. Let's go to Sirach chapter 3, verse 24. Keep them devils out of our house. The Most High said to separate. Sirach in the Apocrypha, chapter 3. Sirach 3, verse 24. And it reads, for many are deceived by their own vain opinion. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, he's a homosexual, but, he's my friend. Yeah, he ain't changed or nothing. You invite him to your house for dinner. Most High said, many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and evil suspicion hath overthrown their judgment. Oh, it's okay. She used to be a prostitute. Yeah, she changed? No, not really, but she's my friend. No, give them the truth before you bring them into the house of the Most High. Make sure they change, especially on the feast day. Everybody can't join the feast day. We're going to go and how HaMashayach kept the feast. It says, for many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion hath overthrown their judgment. Without eyes thou shalt want light. Profess not the knowledge, therefore, that thou hast not. All right? Don't be giving this to people. We heard his word and still ignored it. You wonder why we destroyed for lack of knowledge today. Our people are destroyed. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 8. And so what I'm doing is giving y'all brothers and sisters a lot of precepts for the Feast of Tabernacles and instructions on how we're supposed to keep it. And so 2 Chronicles 8 and 12. And it reads, then Solomon offered burnt offerings unto the Most High thy power on the altar of the Most High, which he had built before the porch, even after a certain rate every day, offering according to the commandment of the Moses, on the Sabbaths, and on the new moons, and on a solemn feast, 3 times in the year, even in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. I see that? These are the things that our forefathers did. This is the law that endure forever. And it all goes back to what he gave us in Leviticus 23. So Solomon kept it. Brothers in Sirach kept it. Let's go to Ezra. Let's see if Ezra's kept it. Ezra's in the Bible. All these fathers remember what Moses said. And why we ain't following it. Ezra chapter 3. Ezra 3, verse 1. And we're going to read down to verse 7. Ezra 3 and 1. And when the 7th month was come, and the children of Israel were in the cities, the people gathered together as one man to Jerusalem. They all had the same mind. They gathered themselves as one man. Then stood up Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and his brethren, the priest, and Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel means born in Babylon. That's what that name means. The son of Shealtiel, and his brethren, and builded the altar of the Most High of Israel, to offer burnt offerings thereon, as it is written in the law of Moses, the man of power. And they set the altar upon his basis, for fear was upon them because of the people of those countries, right? Don't be fearing these people. And they offered burnt offerings thereon unto the Most High, even burnt offerings morning and evening. They kept also the feast of tabernacles, as it is written, and offered the daily burnt offerings by number, according to the custom, as the duty of every day required. You can see that in Exodus chapter 23. And afterward offered the continual burnt offerings, both of the new moons and of all the set feasts of the Most High, and were consecrated, and of everyone that willingly offered a freewill offering unto the Most High. Everybody ate. Everybody had plates full of food. Everybody had wine. Everybody was fasted, but then up until dinner time, we all ate. Verse 6. From the first day of the 7th month began they to offer burnt offerings unto the Most High. But the foundation of the temple of the Most High was not yet laid. They gave money. Brother Yahar went over a class last week. Well, we gave the priests an offering. If we didn't have beasts, we were able to purchase a beast when we got to Jerusalem if we traveled from a far country. But here it says, they gave money also unto the masons and to the carpenters, and meat and drink and oil unto them of Zidon and to them of Tyre, to bring cedar trees from Lebanon to the sea of Joppa, according to the grant that they had of Cyrus, king of Persia. So a grant is something you got to pay back, right? It's monies. So people are not going to work unless you pay them. So this is different from the priest office. We're paying carpenters, we're paying plumbers. They all need money so they can feed their family. So when you don't work, you don't eat, right? When you work, you get paid so you can buy food for your family. Now, the 2nd year of their coming unto the house of the Most High at Jerusalem, in the 2nd month began Zerubbabel, the Shealtiel, and Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and the remnant of their brethren, the priests, and the Levites, and all they that were come out of the captivity to Jerusalem, and appointed the Levites for 20 years old and upward to set forward the work of the house of the Most High. Again, we also gave building offerings, as we read in Deuteronomy 16, anything that needs repairs, things of that nature. But tithing was something totally different from building offering. These pastors today are asking for tithings in these churches, these Christian churches, Catholic churches. They're not the Levitical priests. But as far as building offering for a brother and sister who has a temple, You can give them building offers. Can you give them alms? Yeah, you can give them alms. Alms is something totally different. It's like charity. But tithings, none of these brothers and sisters fit the characteristics or even the bloodline of the Levites. So why are you paying tithes? Verse 9. Then stood Jeshua with his sons and his brethren, Kadmiel and his sons, the sons of Judah together, to set forward the workmen in the house of the Most High, the sons of Henadad with their sons and their brethren, the Levites. We're going to read down to 13. We'll stop there and go into something else. And when the builders laid the foundation, go ahead, go ahead, Con. So we're talking about Ezra's in the Old Testament before Psalms. We are in I was about to say second Ezra. We are in Ezra's chapter 3, verse 10. And it's amazing because this whole point that we're reading about is about the temple being established, because we had just came out of Persia, right? And like we read, it was a grant that we received from the king to build our city back up, our temple. But the whole time that we was building our city, we was hindered by the other nations. They didn't want us to build our temple. They were scoffing and everything. They didn't want us to build our temple because they couldn't be a part of it. They couldn't help. And so don't get discouraged when we're keeping these laws and things, and Gentiles happen to hear what you're doing and they want to join in and be like, oh, yeah, we do this too. We could get together on this day. No, this is only for the 12 tribes of Israel. We are building our temple first. Our family is coming together first. We're not allowing the other people to come in until the end. At the end, they can come. But at the beginning, we are in the beginning stages of building our temple. And the Most High only wants his children. Verse 10. And when the builders laid the foundation of the temple of the Most High, they set the priests in their apparel with trumpets, and the Levites, the son of Asaph, with cymbals, to praise the Most High after the ordinance of David, king of Israel. And they sung together by chorus, in praising and giving thanks unto the Most High, because he is good, for his mercy endureth forever towards Israel. See that? And all the people shouted with a great shout when they praised the Most High, because the foundation of the house of the Most High was laid. But many of the priests and Levites and chief of the fathers, who were ancient men, they had seen the first house, when the foundation of this house was laid before their eyes, wept with a loud voice, and many shouted aloud for joy. They were happy, so that the people could not discern the noise of the shout of joy from the noise of the weeping of the people. For the people shouted with a loud shout, and the noise was heard afar off. So our people were happy. So it was weeping and joy at the same time during these feast days. We're afflicting ourselves and we're happy. It's just like when the temple was actually built. Look at how King David was joyful, and look at how his countenance was. Let's go to Psalms chapter 63, verse 5. And this is how we're supposed to be towards the feast days and towards his laws. Psalm 63, verse 5. Psalm 63 and 5. My soul shall be satisfied as with marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall praise thee with joyful lips, right? We're happy to praise the Most High. When I remember thee upon my bed and meditate on thee in the night watches, because thou hast been my help. Therefore, in the shadow of thy wings will I rejoice. My soul followeth hard after thee. Thy right hand upholdeth me. You see that verse right there in verse 8? My soul followeth hard after me, after the Most High. That's how you're supposed to be. Keeping them commandments, you got to follow hard. Feast of Tabernacles, follow hard. Day of Atonement, keep it. Your soul got to follow hard. You know, when you want something real bad, you do everything to get it, don't you? That's how you got to be in this truth. You got to follow hard to keep the Most High's commandments. So we ain't worried about no one saying we crazy. We're going to keep his laws, right? Let's go to Sirach chapter 47 in the Apocrypha. Sirach chapter 47, verse 8. Look at King David. This is how he praised the Most High. Sirach chapter 47, verse 8. In all his works he praised the Holy One, the Most High, with his words of glory. With his whole heart he sung songs, and loved him that made him. He set singers also before the altar, that by their voices they might make sweet melody, and daily sing praises in their songs. He beautified their feast, and set in order the solemn times unto the end, that they might praise his holy name, and that the temple might sound from morning. See that? Was that sounding from morning when the sun come in, when the sun go down, and the nightfall come in? Blow that shofar. We sounded from morning to evening. All praises to the Most High. King David was forward. He went forward in his soul to follow the Most High. Couldn't stop him. Hosea chapter 12, verse 9. And I that am the Most High thy power from the land of Egypt will yet make thee to dwell in tabernacles, as in the days of the solemn feasts. See that? The Most High going to make us to dwell in tabernacles. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 16. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 16. Now this is in the future. Just like we read in Revelation about there be no temple within the city of Jerusalem. This is Zechariah chapter 14, verse 16. Future prophecy. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King of the Most High of hosts, and to keep the what? The Feast of Tabernacles. So if you don't come and get no blessings and worship the Father, man, ain't nobody going to get nothing from the Most High. If you don't go up there and worship him on the Feast of Tabernacles, every nation is going to have to worship the Most High on the Feast of Tabernacles in that day. Because there's going to be a remnant of all these other nations. And all the remnant that's left, if they don't come worship the Father, they're not going to get no rain or no blessings in their land. You ain't going to be able to speak bad about the king in that day. You know, like a lot of us talk bad about the president. You ain't going to be able to speak bad about the Most High. The Most High is going to plague all these nations if they speak any word against us. Let's read verse 17. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King of the Most High of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. See that? No blessings. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith the Most High will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And in that day shall there be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto the Most High. And the pots in the Most High's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. All right. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be Kadash, or holy, unto the Most High of hosts. And all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and seethe therein. And in that day there shall be no more the Canaanite in the house of the Most High of hosts. Ain't going to be no more confusion. Oh, you're an African, brother. You're not an Israelite. That confusion is gone. No more Canaanites, man. No more Edomites. Most High is going to wash all that away. No more confusion, man. Oh, no, you're an Edomite. You're a chocolate-covered Edomite. It ain't going to be none of that. Most High is going to set everything straight. Remember the parable about the tares and the wheat? He's going to fix all that real quick. But no one is going to be able to ever speak against the Most High ever again. And he gave us an example in Leviticus chapter 24. Because, our people, while we're here, we're chastised by the heathens, and they say, oh, there's no God. There's no Jesus. There's no God. Oh, how we get here? Oh, we just popped up. Creation, the Big Bang Theory. If there's a God, then why is this like this? They got an excuse for everything. Well, how the moon end up in the sky? Where'd that come from? The Big Bang Theory. Well, how the moon don't have no water, but we got water down here? Oh, they got planets with water. You know, they come up with all these different theories. They just don't believe. Leviticus chapter 24, verse 10. Leviticus chapter 24, verse 10. And the son of an Israelitish woman, whose father was an Egyptian. All right, so that's what Israelitish means. See the ish, like we say Jewish, this is Israelite-ish. So what is the Israelite-ish? That's someone who had like an Israelite mother, but the father was a heathen. See that? That's Israelite-ish. That's why when you look at the Jewish people, who do they claim their lineage to? To the woman, matriarch. But when you read the scriptures, it's about the patriarch, about the fathers. When you read the first book of Matthew, chapter 1 through 21, it's talking about from Adam all the way down to HaMashayach, by the fathers. All right? So Israelite-ish means not quite an Israelite, not quite a Jew-ish. This substantiates that when we talk about Jewish, not quite like the original being. So it's an ish. And the son of an Israelitish woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel. And the son of the Israelitish woman and a man of Israel strove together in the camp. And the Israelitish woman's son blasphemed the name of the Most High. See that? Spoke bad about the Most High and cursed. And they brought him unto Moses. And his mother's name was Shelemith, the daughter of Dibri. See that? Her mom was an Israelite. Of the tribe of Dan. That's the tribe her mother was from. And they put him in ward, that the mind of the Most High might be showed them. So they put him in jail. And the Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, bring forth him that hath cursed without the camp. And let all that heard him lay their hands upon his head, and let all the congregation stone him. See that? So they killed this young man for speaking against the Most High. So what do you think is going to happen in the day of prophecy when we all keep the tabernacles and no one come up for rain? And those who do not, they're going to be stoned or plagued. You ain't going to be able to speak bad about the Most High ever again. Because it's confusion. You can't have confusion in a camp. Can't have that. Let's go to John, Gospel of John, chapter 7. I want to show y'all how Yahushua dealt with things. As Christians say, well, he died for all our sins. We don't have to keep those days no more. We don't have to keep the feast days. Don't you want to be like Christ? Don't you want to be Christ-like? That's what Christian mean, to be Christ-like. If you want to be Christ-like, you got to do what he did, right? John chapter 7, verse 1. John chapter 7, verse 1. After these things, Yahushua walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry, because the Jews sought to kill him. Now the Jews' feast of tabernacle was at hand. How can they say the Jewish? Now the Jews' feast of tabernacles was at hand. His brethren therefore said unto him, depart hence and go into Judea, that the disciples also may see the works that thou doest. For there is no man that doeth anything in secret, and he himself seeketh to be known openly. If thou do these things, show thyself to the world. This is someone telling him this. For neither did his brethren believe in him. Then Yahushua saith unto him, my time is not yet come, but your time is always ready. Y'all understand what he said here, when he says, My time is not yet come, meaning I'm not ready to die, but your time is always ready. He said, talking about me, you always ready to die, but my time is not yet come. The world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it, that the works thereof are evil. He's talking about your works is evil too, brethren. Go ye up unto this feast. I go not up yet until the feast, for my time is not yet full come. When he had said these words unto them, he abode still in Galilee. But when his brethren were gone up, then went he also up unto the feast, not openly, but as it were in secret. See that? This is during the Feast of Tabernacles. Sometimes you keep things to yourself. You ain't got to tell everybody what you're about to do. We keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. You ain't got to tell everybody you keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. You tell people where you keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. If they really want to kill you, don't you think they could come out there and try and kill you? If the Most High Spirit is not on you? We out here in the wilderness all by ourselves. I ain't trying to tell people that. Just a small group of us. That's it. Keep things quiet. Then the Jews sought him at the feast and said, where is he? And there was much murmuring among the people concerning him. For some said, he is a good man. Others said, nay, but he deceiveth the people. Howbeit no man speak openly of him for fear of the Jews. Now about the midst of the feast, Yahushua went up into the temple and taught. So he was still teaching during the Feast of Tabernacles. And the Jews marveled, saying, how knoweth this man letters, having never learned? Yahushua answered them, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man will do his will, there's that will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of the Most High, or whether I speak of myself. He that speaketh of himself seeketh his own glory, but he that seeketh his glory that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. Did not Moses give you the law, and yet none of you keepeth the law? See that? Why go ye about to kill me? So here's he talking about. Where's he talking about the law? He said, none of y'all keep it. None of y'all trying to keep the Most High's law. Yahushua's spirit was different. He had a spirit of humility. He wasn't trying to boast of himself. Even dwelling in tents for 7 days, that's a form of humility and repentance. We got to be like him. Look at Matthew 11 and 29. Matthew 11 and 29. Let's see. Matthew chapter 11, verse 29. Look what Yahushua, this is how his spirit was. It says, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. Learn of me. What are we learning? Keep the Father's will. To keep his law. For I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. How are we going to find rest? The scriptures tell us, seek his law and we'll find rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. See, they thinking that's Yahushua, but Yahushua is speaking of the words of the Most High. The Most High said that over and over in the scriptures, that his yoke is easy. Right? It's not hard. We just got to follow the laws. Let's go to Philippians chapter 2, verse 5. Philippians 2 and 5. I give $1,000 to the first brother and sister that find it. Everybody. Shoot. All right. Anybody get it? Everybody got it? Philippians 2 and 5. Philippians chapter 2, verse 5, it reads, let this mind be in you, which was also in HaMashayach, who being in the form of the Most High, thought it not robbery to be equal with the Most High, right? But made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, as was made in the likeness of men. See that? And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. See that? So we got to humble ourselves, make ourselves of no reputation. It's not important. Got to humble ourselves. Let's go back to John 7 and let's read verse 20. So this is all during the Feast of Tabernacles. All this stuff is going on, rhetoric, fighting against Yahushua in the spirit. But he stayed humble. All right, and this is how we have to be. John chapter 7, verse 20. The people answered and said, Thou hast a devil. Who goeth about to kill you? Yahushua answered and said unto them, I have done one work, and ye all marvel. Moses therefore gave unto you circumcision, not because of it is of Moses, but of the fathers. And ye on the Sabbath day circumcise a man. Like, man, how you accusing me, but you doing all these things on the Sabbath? If a man on the Sabbath day receives circumcision, that the law of Moses should not be broken, are ye angry at me, because I have made a man every whit whole on the Sabbath day? Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteousness. You could judge righteously if you know the law. Then said some of them of Jerusalem, Is not this he whom they seek to kill? But lo, he speak boldly, and they say nothing unto him. Do the rulers know indeed that this is the very HaMashayach? Howbeit we know this man, whence he is. But when HaMashayach cometh, no man knoweth whence he is. Then cried Yahushua in the temple as he taught, saying, Ye both know me, and ye know whence I am, and I am not come of myself, but he that sent me is true, whom you know not. But I know him, for I am from him, and he hath sent me. Then they sought to take him, but no man laid hands on him, because his hour was not yet come. See that? But they couldn't even touch him. So this is a Feast of Tabernacles. The moral of the story is, if you do the Father's will and you do righteousness, no one's going to be able to lay hands on you. We have to follow the law to the best of our ability. If you're out there doing stupid stuff, they're going to be able to get you. That's why I said we keep the Feast of Tabernacles. We don't necessarily have to shout it out, man. We can all get together and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Don't have to be publicized on social media, none of that, until after the fact. Then they can see, but it's not important. We're doing this for the Father's sake, not for man. To praise his name and to love him. Look at John 11:47. John 11:47. John chapter 11, verse 47. And it reads, I'll start at 46. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Yahushua had done. See that? But you don't always have somebody who's going to snitch. They ran to the Pharisees and told them. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees in council and said, What do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. So they're afraid of who? Are they afraid of the Most High, or are they afraid of man? Afraid of the Romans. And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know nothing at all. He boasted over all the rest of the Pharisees. Nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. So he's supposed to be a smart aleck. But the nation did perish. The whole nation perished because none of them believed. Let's look at this article that I sent y'all because they were so afraid of the Romans. But let's see what happened. This is a book called The Harvest of Hellenism. And I sent you two pictures. page 533 and 534. And it's ironic how things repeat themselves. If you read in the book of Maccabees, the Greeks sought to take away the Sabbath days, the feast days, and for the Israelites calling themselves Jews, not to call themselves Jews. But here the Romans followed the same pursuit. And I'm going to read above the highlighted version, the last sentence, before the highlighted version of after the war of the Jews. If y'all can see it. Let me know if y'all can see it, and then we'll get started. Anybody out there? There's only one person. Say yay or nay. Okay. So it says, they were allowed to resort there on one day a year to gather at the only remnant of the temple, the Wailing Wall. Now, the interesting thing is, people think that this is the wall that Yahushua spoke of in Matthew 24. Let's go there real quick. Let's look at Matthew 24. This is the wall that everybody thinks that the Wailing Wall is. Matthew 24, verse 1. And it reads, in Matthew 24, verse 1, and Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. So he's telling them what's going to happen in the future, that this temple, this great temple, is going to be thrown down, because during the days of Yahushua, Herod had built a brand new temple, but it was casted down by all these Gentiles coming in. That place never had rest. Even now, it don't have any rest. But back then, every 50 or 100 years, Jerusalem will be trampled down. So let's read. So that Wailing Wall is not the same wall that Yahushua is speaking of.
There's a wide variety of opinions about these gospel passages, especially about the times and the seasons and the signs of this end of days scenario. But what we do know is that in 70 AD, some 37 years after Jesus gave this prediction, Rome sacked Jerusalem and destroyed it. The historian Josephus actually witnessed the siege and aftermath and said, now, as soon as the army had no more people to slay or to plunder, because there remained none to be the objects of their fury, Titus Caesar gave orders that they should now demolish the entire city and temple. Other than a few towers and forts for the Roman garrison, everything was destroyed. It was so thoroughly laid even with the ground by those that dug it up to the foundation that there was left nothing to make those that came thither believe Jerusalem had ever been inhabited. The Wars of the Jews, or History of the Destruction of Jerusalem, Book 7, Chapter 1. Then, about 60 years later, the Roman Emperor Hadrian commenced with finishing the job of the complete Romanization of Jerusalem and much of the land of Israel. By 135 AD, nearly 600,000 Judeans were killed, and over 1,000 towns and villages were razed to the ground. The practice of the Mosaic Law was prohibited, the sacred scrolls were burned, and circumcision was outlawed. After Hadrian, all that remained on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem were a few Roman statues. In an attempt to erase the memory of Jerusalem and Judea, Hadrian renamed this territory Syria Palestina, a complete eradication of Israel and Judea in favor of the ancient Philistines. And he renamed Jerusalem Aelia Capitolina, a loose combination of Hadrian's family name and a hill commemorating the Roman god Jupiter. Now, the Jews were strictly forbidden from entering their capital, except for once a year, on the holiday that commemorated the destruction of the temple. These massive stones lying here at the base of the southern section of the Temple Mount are a testimony to the fulfilled prophecy of Jesus. From 70 to 135 AD, the Roman soldiers completely stripped the Temple Mount bare. Every stone was thrown down, and the survivors, the remnant of the Jewish people, well, they were scattered to the four corners of the earth.
All right. that wall was actually tore down to the ground. There is no stone upon stone. Now I'm going to read the highlight version. It says, after the war, the Jews were allowed to make their own internal arrangements, which they proceeded to do in terms of the Torah and the oral tradition, Mishnah, connected with it. But they had also to live under the prescriptions set down by the Romans to regularize their position in the state. Now, we all know who Vespasian is, right? When we read that in the book of Josephus and from Babylon to Timbuktu, where Vespasian and the son Titus in 70 AD, over 1 million black Jews into Africa. So he's speaking of Vespasian here. Vespasian had imposed a special discriminatory temple tax on all the Jews of the empire after the war of AD 70. So there were still some Israelites there, but guess what Israelites were there? Not the Israelites. They were the Israelitish people who were part Greek, part Roman. Okay, it wasn't the true Israelites. It was rescinded by Nerva, and Hadrian went even further in making circumcision a capital offense and forbade the public teaching of the law and the observation of the Sabbath. By far the most serious restriction ever placed upon the Jews. See that? So they restricted all of this stuff. Everything had changed. They had to pay a tax, no more circumcision, the observation of the law and the Sabbaths. They had to be very restricted with that, no public teaching. Everything was indoors. Hadrian, like Antiochus before him and Hercules after, may have been attempted to impose unity upon his empire by the forced assimilation of his most separatist minority. The Jews' cult center, all right, this is where the Wailing Wall is. The Jews' cult center at Jerusalem was destroyed and deliberately rebuilt as a city of Jupiter. See that right there? That Wailing Wall is a part of the city of Jupiter by the Romans, which was knocked down by Salahuddin, the Muslim leader who conquered Egypt. The expectation is doubtless that the end of the cultus would mark the end of the cultus. Because Muhammad, you think about Muhammad, Islam, he supposedly jumped off that dome of the rocks. Was told that he jumped on a chariot, but he actually jumped off this rock and broke his neck and killed himself. A prophet that committed suicide. It wasn't really a prophet, was it? So this is the Wailing Wall. So the Muslims, they had this whole land. And then when Jerusalem, in 1948, when it became a state again for Jerusalem, they made this wall they tried to say that this was a temple of Herod, but it's really the Wailing Wall, which is of Islam. Not of Islam, but of the Roman city of Jupiter. That's not the wall Yahushua was speaking of. That wall was knocked down. Going back to what we just read, the Pharisees were afraid of losing their powers to the Romans. And where is that in John chapter 11? Go back to John 11. I'm going to show you another thing too. Guys, make sure you write this down. John chapter 11, verse 51. And this spoke he not of himself, but being high priest that year. And he prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation. What nation? The Jews. And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of the Most High that were scattered abroad. Then from that day forth they took counsel together for to put him to death. So this is what they were trying to do. John chapter 7, verse 47. John 7, verse 47. And it reads, Then answered them the Pharisees, Are ye also deceived? Have any of the rulers or the Pharisees believed on him? But this people who knoweth not the law are accursed. See that? But this people who knoweth not the law are accursed. including themselves. They didn't know the law. Here's Nicodemus, verse 50. Nicodemus saith unto them. Now, Nicodemus was the same brother who met with Yahushua at night, John chapter 3. It says 51. Doth our law judge any man before it hear and know what he doeth? They answered and said unto him, Art thou also of Galilee? Search and look, for out of Galilee ariseth no prophet. So this is a lie. Yahushua was never born or came out of Galilee. He ran into Galilee to get away from them because they were chasing him. They wanted to kill him, remember? But he was never born in Galilee. So they're off in the scriptures. The Pharisees are off in the scriptures saying that he came out of Galilee. Because when you look at Matthew 2, go to Matthew chapter 2. This is where Yahushua was born. Matthew chapter 2, verse 1. Matthew 2 and 1. Now, when Yahushua was born, where? In Bethlehem of Judah. He didn't come out of Galilee. He was born in Bethlehem. In the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem. Not 3 wise men. That's another lie. You hear these Christmas songs, 3 wise men. No, wise men, not 3. A whole lot of them. Wise men from the east of Jerusalem. Okay? Just so y'all know. All right? But let's go to Luke. I thought you guys should know that. Those lies that are in there. Luke chapter 21. Luke chapter 21, verse 20. Luke 21, verse 20. And this is a prophecy of 70 AD of the Romans. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is near. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. See that? And let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. So who were those Pharisees who were still there trying to keep the law? They weren't our people. Yahushua already gave this testimony, and everyone, if you read the book of Josephus, everyone who stayed in Jerusalem got killed or sold into captivity. So we were replaced in those days after 70 AD with new people. That's who these so-called Jewish people are claiming descent from, the Edomite Jews. Verse 22, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword. See that? Wasn't nobody left in there? And shall be led away captive into all nations. Josephus was a scribe. He was placed into captivity. But if he was placed into captivity, how are the rest of them still living in that land? They were all our people were killed or fled away or put in captivity. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the who? Of the Gentiles. So now you know who was dwelling in that era of time. That was the Gentiles who were claiming to be us. Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So everything is a lie. Everything is a lie, man. These people have been lying to us for years. Talking about, oh yeah, we have descendants. We come from the land of Jerusalem. Yeah, after we got chased out of there. Hebrews chapter 11. And all of it stems from us not keeping the law. That's what it all comes from. We didn't keep the Feast of Tabernacles anymore. We stopped doing things that we're supposed to do. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8. Hebrews 11, verse 8. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. Just like King David, his heart followed the Most High. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. All right, drop down to verse 13. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. So we're going to keep these feast days as strangers and pilgrims now. Verse 14, for they say such things, declare plainly that they seek a country. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from which they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. Our people forgot the laws completely and forgot who they were. But now they desire a better country, that is, an heavenly, wherefore the Most High is not ashamed to be called their power, but he hath prepared for the city. Look at Jubilees in the Sefer, all right, because our people weren't mindful of where we came from. They thought they was from Africa. They thought they was from America, South America, Brazil, Mexico, Puerto Rico. They thought this is where they were from. They weren't mindful of where they came from. But we are all from the children of Israel that came out of Jerusalem, that broke the laws. Jubilees, chapter 1, verse 15. Let's go to Jubilees 1 and 15. And if you don't have it, I'm going to read it. And I'm going to read it all the way down to verse 19. And check this out. This is part of the prophecies. This is what happened to us. This is how we were not mindful. And it reads, and they will forget all my Torah and all my commandments and all my judgments, and will go astray as to new moons and Shabbat oaths, the feasts and jubilees and ordinances. Haven't our people forgotten all these? And after this they will turn to me from amongst the other nations with all their heart and with all their soul, with all their strength, and I will gather them from amongst all the other nations, and they will seek me, so that I shall be found of them. We're scattered all over the world, all nations. When they seek me with all their heart and with all their soul, and I will disclose to them abounding peace with righteousness, and I will remove them the plant of uprightness with all my heart and with all my soul, and they shall be for a blessing and not for a curse, and they shall be the head and not the tail. See, we're going to remember what? The law. So the curse won't be on us no more. And I will build my sanctuary in their midst, and I will tabernacle with them, and I will be their Elohim or Elohim, and they shall be my people in truth and righteousness. And I will not forsake them nor fail them, for I am Yahweh, Elohim. See that? So it's all part of the prophecy. We're going to forget everything and then return and come back. Okay, I'm going to bring out 3 more verses. And these last 3 verses are going to come out of the Apocrypha. I'm going to go first to Baruch, chapter 2, in your Apocrypha. This is the third temple, brethren and sisters. Us coming back to the understanding of the law, statutes, and commandments, and keeping the tabernacle with the Father. Baruch chapter 2, and let's go to verse 28. Baruch chapter 2, verse 28. This is a part of the third temple. Baruch is after Sirach. Baruch 2 and 28, and it reads, As thou spakest by the servant Moses in the day when thou didst command him to write thy law before the children of Israel, saying, If ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations. See, we're all in pockets now. We're just remnants. So we're all a small number, where I will scatter them. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves, just like the book of Jubilees said, and shall know that I am the power, their power. For I will give them an heart, and ears to hear, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds. For they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before me. And I will bring them again into the land which I promised, with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as we read in Hebrews 11. And they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their power, and they shall be my people. And I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. That's the third temple coming into full effect. 2 Ezra chapter 2, verse 38. 2 Ezra chapter 2, verse 38. Second Ezra chapter 2, verse 38. Arise up and stand. Behold, the number of those that be sealed in the feast of the Most High. So you know it's going to be a small number. The feast of the Most High is what we're keeping now. Which are departed from the shadow of the world. So we're going to separate ourselves to get what? Sealed. We're trying to be sealed by keeping this feast days. How many other people in the world know that by keeping his feast days and the rest of his laws is a way of being sealed? Because he said he's going to seal 144,000 and have received glorious garments of the Most High. Take thy number, O Zion, and set up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Most High. See that? It's all about fulfilling his law. The last verse, and we're going to stay in the Apocrypha. We're going to go to Sirach chapter 32. Sirach chapter 32. All praises. Sirach 32, verse 2. Let's start at verse 1. And it reads, If thou be made the master of a feast, lift not thyself up. See that? Just like Yahushua said, he humbled himself during the Feast of Tabernacles. But be among them as one of the rest. Take diligent care for them, and so sit down. We all the same, man. We all got the same. We all going to get paid the same. Like Yahar went over the pay scale last week, how much we were supposed to pay tithes. It's all the same. It's just like those of us who come into the truth at different times, we all can get paid the same at the end of the day. So we're all the same. Verse 2. And when thou hast done all thy office, take thy place, that thou mayest be merry with them, and receive a crown for thy well ordering of the feast. All praises. And that's going to end this class. And so for the record, for all of us who are not in Israel, who are in other people's lands, in Gentiles' lands, I had said to get as far away as possible from Gentiles. Well, it's almost impossible in this land because we dwell amongst them. The Most High put us here amongst them. So it's like if you need services in your home and you don't have that trade, for example, plumbing, carpentry, whatever, whatnot, you have to hire out. So you have to hire a Gentile to come fix it. They may just be a Gentile and not a brother. And then if they're a brother, they may not be in the same frame of mind. And so, we're not in the land. So we're amongst the Gentiles in whatever we do, whatever fashion we do. So all you can do is try to do right. The scriptures of Revelation 18:4 says to come out of her, my people, right? So how do you come out of her? You can't go from one country to another. It's by your actions and what you do and what you say. That's how you come out of her. Your participation in certain things. That's how you come out of her. If you go to Revelation chapter 17, it tells us in verse 15, it says, And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest, That's where the great horse sits, which is the mystery Babylon. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So how are you going to get away from that? How are you going to get away from the Gentiles? You can't. You just got to come out of her. You just got to keep yourself in order to the best of your ability within your temple. Be circumspect. But I wanted to give y'all precepts upon precepts upon precepts for ammo when someone says we don't have to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, and show how we were scattered because we didn't keep feasts, period, and lost. And so by keeping these laws and these feast days, the Most High is going to renew us and seal us. All praise to the Heavenly Father. Are there any questions, statements, or comments?
This is the word of the Lord of hosts. I took you from the pastures and from following the sheep to be prince over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone and have destroyed all the enemies in your path. I will make you a great name among the great ones of the earth. I will assign a place for my people in Israel. There I will plant them, and they shall dwell in their own land.
Book of John, chapter 7, and you read verses 20 through 30.
Yeah.
But the one that I really touched me on is when it gets to that, where we at here, 22, when it says that,
Moses.
let's see, what is this, Con. It says, well, let me go back to 21 real quick. So HaMashayach answered and said unto them, I have done one work, and you all marvel.
Right.
And something like when people like now we talk, and probably how we used to believe when our minds were all mixed up. We were thinking that, Christ, HaMashayach is everything, and so all the stuff that Moses, was just, just like, not dumb, but it was just like useless for now. It's how, they will reflect back on biblical stories. But right here, and it was interesting in verse 22, when you bring it out that Moses therefore gave unto you circumcision, not because it is of Moses, but it's of the Father.
Right,
so
Abraham.
Even though he is the one that is giving this to you, presenting it to you, don't get it twisted. It's still coming from the Father.
Right.
So that's where it came from. And then he reflected to him, and he on the Sabbath day circumcised man, and then he was making references that I'm trying to stop that basically he is the same way. He gets it from the Father. His will is not his own. He's doing the will of his Father.
Right.
And so when people are just kind of looking at, he's different because, we don't have to do that Moses, like he's a standalone character.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But Christ still reminds them, like from the scripture, it's like in Moses, even though he gave you those laws and namely the one of circumcision, they came from
the Father.
Most High.
Right.
I just like that part that that Christ was constantly, letting them know where he is operating. His directives are coming from. So when we say that we should be given honor to the Most High through the examples and the teachings and the bringing it out of Christ, and also Christ has position to actually deliver those prayers up to the Father. In the same way Moses and the priesthood of the priests back in our forefathers, they did the same thing. So don't get it twisted, but people today still get it twisted. Like it's like how it was gone. Like he ain't even up there. No
Right.
way. Like, it's all about his son now, and that's what the wickedness of the system. So anyway, I like that script when you brought it out. I didn't explain it that way, but I got to get this thing out of it.
No, because it goes even further back, because even through, while you read the interactions with the Pharisees and the Sadducees about circumcision, and they say, well, Abraham, our father, gave us circumcision. No, Abraham didn't give it to you. The Father gave it to Abraham. So it's not Abraham's circumcision. It's the Father's circumcision. So that's not a miracle. That's something the Father gave us. You know what I'm saying? And when I say miracles, like, oh wow, look what he just did. No, that's coming from the Father. That is an order. That is a law. Something that we're supposed to pertain to. It's just like he told the Pharisees and Sadducees, you guys don't even know the law. Y'all don't even know it. Things that I'm doing is of the Father. Y'all don't even know it. It's not mine. It's amazing, man. And we do nothing of our own. Hey, Colossians 3:17. We do nothing of our own, man.
That's right.
But it also shows you. I'm sorry. No, it also shows you the error when I showed the class about how the Pharisees said that nothing good comes from Galilee, when Yahushua wasn't from Galilee. If they're the Pharisees, at that particular time, they had records of all the births of the babies. They really wanted to know where he was from. All they had to do is go look at the records. So you had a lot of just hearsay going on, people just talking, even then, not knowing biblical references or even medical things about people when they're supposed to be the doctors. They're the doctors. Yahushua at 12 years old is going back and forth with the doctors. They know they know everything about Israel and their people. So, but then you can understand the blindness, because here you have the Pharisees and the Sadducees, but they hated the northern kingdom of Israel. They hated them. So there was a might in their eye already.
Yes, and they would always say too, meaning the Christians and those that are still trying to find their way, that we all hear that statement. Well, we only got y'all talking about the laws, but we only doing how many laws did Jesus say? He said only 2. What's them 2? Love you, and then they go to, and again they act like. But we all, those who read the scripture, and they know that everything he's talking about is the same thing that Father talks about. But again, like you were saying, that they wanted to give the circumcision saying, the credit that Moses gave it to him when Yahushua put him in check, saying, no, the Father. That's, and the same way with those 2 laws deal when, when Yahushua let them know that. But the Christians have adopted that and now tried to supersede or say that all the stuff that was talked about then, we don't have to do all the other stuff. We only just got to do these 2. As though, because that's what Jesus taught. It ain't what, and that's like, come on, y'all.
That's why
his example was everything that was written before.
Right.
So.
Hey, what you're saying is right on point, because the Christians, they well, it's just like it says in Peter's, they do not understand what Paul wrote, because Paul's sayings are hard to understand. Paul, being a Pharisee, knew the law backwards and forwards, but even he baffled on how Yahushua came with faith, where he eventually ended up understanding what Yahushua was about. But mixing the faith and mercy with the law that Paul already knew, and then putting it in the New Testament, where we're kind of like overshadowing or peeking in the window at the letters that he's sending to other brothers and sisters that know what he's saying. You know what I mean? Because that's what we're basically doing, peeping Toms at the New Testament, not knowing what's really going on. And when you finally figure out what he's saying, then you understand. Because a good example is Galatians chapter 3, verse 10. Like we read in the scriptures where it says, them that know the law, them that do not know the law are cursed. But then Christians will go to Galatians 3 and 10, where it says, for as many as are of the works of the law are under the curse. They stop right there.
Exactly.
For many, for as many as are of the works of the law are under the, see, you're under the law, it's a curse. They flip it, not knowing what Paul is saying. For it is written, cursed is everyone that continueth not in all the things which are written in the book of the law. See what I mean? You got to keep these laws. He says, when you stop keeping these laws, yes, you are cursed. You are cursed. You got to keep them. But that no man is justified by the law in the sight of the Most High. No, we're not. The sacrificial ordinances, there's no way we could be justified by keeping those sacrificial ordinances. And so it says, it is evident for the just shall live by faith. Yeah, we're going to live by faith when it comes to that now. We're going to sacrifice our bodies, but there's no way we could keep the sacrificial laws. But see, the Christians don't understand any parts of what we're talking about. They lump it all in as one. They don't understand any parts of it. It says, Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For who? For the Israelites. For it is written, curses everyone that hangeth on a tree. This is specifically talking about the Israelites and how we couldn't get into that mercy seat, into that mercy area, because we had no mediator. Now we have a mediator to get back to the Father. And that's what Jubilees is all about. Jubilees is explained in Jubilees, the verse that we went over in chapter 1, and Baruch chapter 2, what we went over. It's everything written in a small nutshell. And if you read that and you don't understand that Christ is in the middle of that nutshell, you're not going to understand. He's in the midst of that 5 paragraph. That's our get back. That's how we're going to get back to the Father. We don't have any other way to get back. Not one brother out here could say that there is an obedient Levite following the laws today. Not one. Brothers may claim that they're Levites, but there's not one Levite who is following that order of Levi at this particular time. That I know of. I don't know of any. Yeah, so that's our get back.